The Breadwinners Tempest Trials event is accompanying Artelia's Kids banner. As usual, if you score 50,000 points, you can get up to 42 orbs, 11,000 feathers, and 80 sacred coins. This month we have Ephemeral 4 divine codes, and you can get an Earth Blessing for Legendary Nana. For Circuit Seals, we have Defense Opening and Warding Breath. The reward unit is going to be Young Boyd, and you can get a 4-star and 5-star copy. We'll be talking about him more later on. First, we have 2 new Sacred Seals to earn. First is Defense Opening 3. At start of turn, grant plus 6 defense to ally with the highest defense for 1 turn, excludes the user. This is the last opening skill to become a Sacred Seal, so we have the full collection now. In general, opening buffs are nice if you really want to buff one specific ally. Obviously, this one targets your highest defense unit, which is probably your physical damage tank. It's a simple buffing option if you're on a spread out map, and it can help certain weapons like Basilio's Spirit Axe, which does require a bonus to be active on the user. Definitely not a bad buffing skill, but not a huge priority unless you really need that plus 6 defense on a specific unit. Upgrade this seal at your leisure. Our second new seal is Warding Breath. If foe initiates combat, grant +4 res during combat and special cooldown charge +1 per attack. So a new Breath Sacred Seal doesn't really need any advertisement. These are top tier skills because of how much special cooldown they offer, and being in the Sacred Seal slot lets you use stronger A skills. Warding Breath is the res variant, and we can finally pry it away from Legendary Ike after all this time. Obviously it's the go-to if you want to tank magic damage better. One nice thing about Warding Breath is that you do not need to spend any sacred coins for upgrading. Definitely be sure to grab it from this Tempest Trials. Another Breath Sacred Seal is nice because we just got introduced to the new Temple B skills. Temple grants no guard and no special charge, meaning guard cannot mess up Warding Breath's amazing cooldown. The only way to not get +2 charge for every action is if the enemy brings no special charge themselves, and even then you're still going to get +1 charge instead of nothing because you have no guard. While the current speed and defense Temple variant may not be the best for a res stacking unit, I'm sure we'll see more stat variations later. Anything with the -3 attack would be appreciated. For some other popular combos, Warding Breath with the newish Distance Stance would give you +9 res when defending with Distant Counter. DC builds love all the extra cooldown, and this applies to the new Dual Ike as well. Generally speaking, while there are units like Thor or Brave Lucina who can give the same cooldown reduction to their allies, it's always nice to have the Breath Seals around. It's never a bad thing to be self-sufficient, especially since the amount of special cooldown you generate is just so ridiculously high. Very solid new Sacred Seal, please do not miss out on it.
I'm Boyd. You might know my big brother, Oscar, or my little brother, Rolf. I'm plenty tough. I can take on any of the kids my age.
Our Tempest reward unit is going to be Young Boyd, making his Fae debut finally. Boyd, I believe, is the last member of the Girl Mercenaries to join Fae, and he is the middle sibling between Oscar and Rolf. He's your typical early game axe infantry unit, and he's going to retain that role here. For stats, Boyd has 50 HP, 43 attack, 36 speed, 31 defense, and 21 res. He will have HP and attack super boons. Good lord, with +10 merges in the attack super boon, Boyd has over 50 base attack, which is more than my +10 Erica with her weapon equipped. Suffice to say, he's gonna slap people if he lands a hit. With 36 speed, Boyd isn't super slow, but his defense and res aren't made for long-term tanking. He does have a lot of base HP though, so Young Boyd is another Berserker type axe unit. He will have a lot of competition, including literally our last Heroic Row axe unit, but Boyd has a trick up his sleeve. Unlike so many Heroic Row Axe infantry units, Young Boyd gets his own weapon. The Large War Axe is appropriately named because it has 16 might and grants another +3 attack on top, and then grants +10 attack and speed, neutralizes Boyd's attack and speed penalties, and he deals extra damage per hit equal to 50% of his attack stat. The catch is that these effects only occur on odd turns. For even numbered turns, Boyd only gets +5 attack and speed during combat. We've seen odd and even number turn mechanics in Fae, but many believe Large War Axe is a more direct reference to a mechanic in Path of Radiance and Radiant Dawn called Biorhythm. Biorhythm basically increased or decreased your unit stats depending on a set pattern that cycled through every turn. As a young kid, when I played these games, I definitely did not interact with this mechanic in any strategic way, and it's a bit awkward in general. Regardless, Boyd had a skill called Tempest, which doubled Biorhythm's effects, and that's seen on the Large War Axe. On even numbered turns, Boyd isn't penalized that much, but +5 attack and speed is nothing super special. However, when it's an odd turn, he goes full beast mode, plus attack and speed, doesn't care about attack and speed debuffs, and he gets even more damage that scales off his already sky high attack. I don't think this is on the level of Young Innes' bow, but I love what they tried to do for Boyd. This is a very fun little weapon, especially because there's so many other axe infantry units in the game. Real quick, if you add up all the attack on this weapon, Boyd's gonna hit 72 attack, and that's without merges, his attack super boon, nor any passive skills. You then get at least plus 10 true damage, which only scales higher. That is indeed a lot of damage. It's nice to talk about a unique axe for a change, but sadly that's the most interesting part of Boyd's kit. His assist skill is Shove, which I think he matches from his game. He then has Fire Boost 3, which grants plus 6 attack if he has more HP than the enemy. Not completely terrible, but really not a necessary skill, since once you get damaged, your chances of keeping it active go down. Boyd has high base HP, but there are better options. In his C slot, you have Infantry Pulse 3, grant -1 cooldown to infantry allies on turn 1 if you have higher HP than them. Another HP based skill, at least this one is a bit more effective despite only working one time. Nothing exactly crazy to write home about in terms of base kit. Boyd's standout trait is that unique axe. If you want to merge Boyd up, his neutral nature gives +1 at HP, attack, and speed. That is actually fine, but if you want to commit to the fun attack stacking nature of the large war axe, then you can't pass up on the attack super boon. Since Boyd gets so much extra speed, you may also want to consider the speed boon, maybe if you want to spend a florette. If you use HP skills on him, then the HP super boon is another option. So in terms of axe infantry comparisons, I did not have to change anything since it's been about 2 months since we just got Gonzalez, and if you look closely, you'll see him and Boyd are basically the exact same type of unit. High HP, very high attack, some speed, and then higher defense with lower res. For what it's worth, Boyd and Gonzalez belong to the same Berserker archetype, but Boyd has unique axe to stand out. If you think it might be inconsistent with its turn-based mechanic, then you can compare it to the Rain Axe Plus. On even numbered turns, Boyd's still gonna get +5 attack and speed. Rain Axe inflicts -5 speed and defense on the foe. Pretty much the exact same stat boost, at least for personal combat. Now, Rain Axe can stat refine for more speed, but Large Axe or Large War Axe is stuck with +5 attack. In exchange for the attack difference, Rain Axe is going to give you +5 HP. This comparison is only for even number turns though, since on odd turns, Boyd is in a completely different league. Honestly, while Boyd might be inconsistent in terms of his max potential, it's not like he drops super far down compared to an inheritable weapon. Now besides Gonzalez, I guess you could look at the trio of Ninja Shamir, Ninja Hana, and Pirate Lithus. They're all around that 37 attack, 40 speed stat spread with less HP, more res. Even though Boyd is naturally slower, Large War Axe makes up some of that difference on those odd turns. I do think he can build speed if you want. In terms of suitable options, exact same competition as Gonzalez. If you want a low rarity Berserker, Basilio is your modern age pick. Boyd will have more speed at the cost of defense. I think the closest comparison for an older gen would be Ross. You can see Boyd really ramps things up with his extra BST. Now for builds, Boyd is a serious threat on odd turns, 72 attack for a non-merge copy without passive skills. You could just decide to go for a very simple double death blow build, maybe throw in a breaker skill, and just ram whoever is on the player phase. That is totally fine, especially if you just use the 1 5-star copy. You can also build speed as well, and Boyd could look to run Fury with Desperation since he has a lot of HP to play with. He isn't the fastest axe unit, but he can definitely still get some doubles with cheap skills. If you want to play to the odd turn hype, then odd attack wave or odd speed wave can be fun buffs. If you want both buffs, then attack and speed oath is an option. For Sacred Seals, really anything with more attack and speed is fine for a budget set. Boyd has so much attack, you could just also opt for a more defense or res variant instead. I also want to mention Vantage. It could be a fun B skill if you're on mixed phase stat boosters like attack and speed ideal or solo skills. For ideal A skills, you're going to need a bonus however. Now for specials, Sky High Attack is very fun with Glimmer. You can also do Moonbow or Luna, since the only thing Boyd won't destroy are those really high defense units. If you rather have consistent damage scaling, you can try Draconic Aura or Dragon Fang. Generally speaking, Boyd is pretty easy to build if you just want to mess around with his odd turn power-up. Speaking of which, there's actually another fun odd turn skill if you want to fully invest in Boyd. Like the name of his skill in the Telius games, Boyd can run Odd Tempest 3. Extra movement to just get in there to bop people with Large War Axe can be fun, and Mini Mia does have it currently on the banner. As for other skills, a high investment build will carve its playstyle via the B slot. There's just so many options with things like no follow-up to ensure Boyd doubles those tanks, or lows for max damage output. You could try the new speed and defense tempo with cooldown skills like Times Pulse or Heavy Blade. If you end up focusing on speed, then Boyd could run dodge skills. He could try Frenzy since his base HP is so high. Another option is Special Spiral or go with the tried and true Desperation. If you want to run HP support skills, that's fine as well. You could go with even or odd pulse time, sudden panic, maybe panic ploy. Let's discuss some aid skills. Boyd can run fun things like Surge Sparrows, which gives him more healing since it's percent max HP. If you want to run no follow-up to bust tanks, then maybe you don't need as much speed for that. You could invest in something like Sturdy Impact to not take as much counterattack damage. On the other side of things, if you want all the speed, maybe for dodge builds, then Attack and Speed Menace can help Boyd out. If you think Boyd has enough attack, then you can go for things with unusual stat combos like speed and defense or speed and res. If you want more ideas, you can watch my video on Gonzalez, but obviously Boyd should try to run his unique weapon. I do want to mention one fun alternative though if you're just building Boyd for fun, and that's the Ninja Brave Axes. The Shuriken Cleaver is pretty solid for a high tech unit like Boyd who has some leftover speed. Overall, pretty solid Tempest Trials. For Sacred Seals, definitely do not miss out on Warding Breath. It costs no coins to upgrade, and it's a fun option for cooldown reduction. For defense opening, upgrade it if you really want defense buffs for your high defense tanks. As for young Boyd, he is in a very competitive class type with stats almost exactly the same as the last Axe Infantry, but it's that unique weapon that makes all the difference in terms of flavor. Large War Axe is a very straightforward and fun weapon. At its worst, it's an attack and speed boost, but at its best, you double that stat boost, you ignore penalties, and Boyd gets even more damage for every hit he makes. It's a great way to reference his biorhythm skill, and you don't get penalized super badly in this game. If you value consistency, then obviously you may have issues with the weapon, but I still think young Boyd is a solid unit. He does well for himself despite immense competition, and you have a lot of build options thanks to being an infantry unit. Is young Boyd going to be a top unit like young Innes was last year? Probably not, but he's definitely a fine unit. I guess more on the level of Mini Minerva from the first group of kid units. He has a unique weapon, decent stats, and he holds his own against similar free-to-play options. Here's hoping regular Boyd doesn't get relegated to being an Axe Demon on his banner whenever he comes out, but for the time being, young Boyd is a great pickup. That'll be it for this Tempest Trials event. Lots of good rewards to earn, so don't miss out on any of them. That's all I got for now, so thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.